Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Sinnoh Classic coming with another video. Today we're continuing my the battles I had in the Sinnoh Classic. I'm staying with the same team. It's only second video. I couldn't change it up even if I wanted to. But today we're gonna be going off against another interesting team. My opponent had Ninetales, Venusaur, Milotic, Scizor, Gardevoir, and Umbreon. So in team preview, I did not realize that this was most likely a Sun team, especially since he had the Venusaur with the possibility of the chlorophyll to double its speed in the harsh sun. So we're gonna go ahead and get started now. And I realized that very early in the game that was a big possibility when he sends out his Ninetales and Venusaur. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a good position for me. I was like, well, we both sent out a fire and a grass type. And then I saw Ninetales Drought. I'm like, oh yeah, Groudon isn't the only Pokemon with Drought. And I was like, oh yeah, and Venusaur most likely has Chlorophyll since I ran a Mega Venusaur on my team. So the thing here, neither of these Pokemon have Protect. Like I said, I would have liked to have Protect over Toxic on this thing, but I didn't have anything I really wanted to switch in. So I just kind of had to let it go down, which is it's kind of fine because I didn't really need it. It wasn't going to really hit anything on my opponent's team for super effective damage. Just going to be more of an annoying knockoff Pokemon. So I bring in my Machamp, and my opponent actually switched out his Venusaur into Milotic. So he was obviously predicting the Fire-type move into that slot, which is what he got. It was a good prediction on his part, but it is Sun boosted, so it does a little more than I thought it would. And my opponent goes to the extra sensory here. I'm like, oh, and it does all of, what, 72 damage? Something like that. 72. So it is a 3-hit KO, but he gets the very, very lucky flinch. So it's going to make a... Oh, she's just not going to be confused. That's really what... Oh, actually, I went for the Stone Edge and the Ninetales. So Ninetales is going to stick around for another turn. Because I guarantee you he wasn't predicting the Machamp to know Stone Edge. Or he was expecting to pick up the one-hit knockout right there. But I'm not exactly sure what this switch was for. In the Scald tier, it does nothing because it's in the sun. So I get the Stone Edge off. It's going to do under 50%. We see he is carrying the Black Sludge, and the Milotic is carrying the Leftovers. And this I'm fine with, I mean, because it's not double Leftovers. You can only put Black Sludge on a Poison-type Pokemon. So we're going to see Protect from Venusaur, and here I was like, okay. Venusaur is not really a threat to my team. I do have his Headbutt for the super effective damage. Here he goes for the Scald, this time into Machamp, obviously fishing for the burn, which he gets. But I was like, my opponent's like, haha, but I'm the one who gets the last laugh because I have the Lung Berry. So I get the Dynamic Punch Off, which is going to do over 50% and Confuse. So that's very nice. Not as good as a Swagger. Well, I guess with the damage makes it better than a Swagger. So one more, and that Milotic is gone. And he withdraws here. So I was like, okay, nothing on your team wants to take a Dynamic Punch. And he goes to Ninetales. I was like, okay, if you want to come in. But he gets the Sleep Powder off, and he connects it. It won't miss since I have no guard. So it's a big threat for him, put to sleep. But I do get the Zen Headbutt off, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. It's going to be enough to pick up the knockout. Metagross is still really strong. One of the more powerful Pokemon with a lot of weaknesses now. So there's my first turn of sleep. So this next turn I have a chance of waking up. So right there the sun fades. So if he stayed, I actually don't know why he switched out. Unless if he didn't want the sun up. But I go for the Protect here, thinking that he's gonna attack into that slot. And here he goes for protecting the Milotic. I'm like, dude, your Milotic is not a threat to my team. He might have been doing it just in case my Machamp woke up, but I'm like, dude, don't like boast. I forget what I was saying. I was saying something like, don't overtalk yourself. Your Ninetales is the one that's the problem here. So, not sure why he protected. He could have gotten a free Scald off, or even a Recover. I'm sure he's carrying Recover. So here we see the Scizor, and I was like, good thing I have my Magmortar in the back. That's going to be an easy knockout. And so here he protects Scizor. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? The Scizor is not a problem. I just need to get rid of the my Wodik, and I win because I have Magmortar in the back. So Zen Headbutt is enough to pick up the knockout. I went for the double target. I was like, even if my opponent goes for Protect, it's still, I didn't know if one Zen Headbutt would be enough. But here, so I will say, I did not make the mistake going for Meteor Mash into a Water type Pokemon. So I did learn, for those of you who watched that video where I made a bunch of mistakes. So here, I'm not even going to bother switch out. There's no need to risk it. I actually outspeed with both my Pokemon, so this is where I must be really slow. But we don't knock it out, but he is confused. And I guess you could say fortunately he gets through. The Bullet Punch is going to be enough to knock out Machamp. However, I mean, he has what it takes to knock out the... I'm sorry, the Metagross knocks out the Scizor, and we pick up the victory. So that one was a little more intense. That was a little of a longer battle. My opponent had good coverage on his team. I don't think he put his Venusaur to really good use. He was switching out a lot, and he was just letting me spam Dynamic Punch so we get a bunch of free damage off. So he needed to switch a lot less to take advantage of what he had on his team. So next battle we got... I was seeing a lot of what are they called? Sceptiles and Blazikins in this, and Infernapes. A lot of starters in general. But here we got a team of Zapdos, Suicune, Arcanine, Togekiss, Electivire, and... No, that's not is that Electivire? Yeah, that's Electivire. It just looks different. Like to me, when I see the Pokemon icon, it does not look like the Pokemon it is in game. So, and Sceptile is the last Pokemon. So here, Mamoswine's going to wreck shop. He's got super effective stab for 4 out of the 6. 3 of them are weak to ice, 1's weak to ground. No, for 5 out of the 6, excuse me. 2 of them are weak to ground. So Machamp's going to be good here as well. He's going to, with the ice punches, Dynamic Punch, put some nice work in. The Rotom for the Arcanine and the flying types. And the Magmortar just to get some all-around damage off since he's scarfed and he's got like he's not full coverage, but he's got really good coverage. So we're going to start now. My opponent starts out with Zapdos and Electivire, and I go with Magmortar and Rotom. So this was an interesting lead by my opponent. I'm not exactly sure why he went for his 2 Electrics to start out the game, but he goes for Protect here wisely enough, and I go for the Flamethrower. I don't have anything to hit these for super effective damage, but I do over half, and he sets up the Tailwind, so I'm like, oh, okay. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. This is a Gen 6 move, but you can still use it, and I'm fine with that. I'm not complaining, but I go for the Will-O-Wisp and the Electivire because I know it's going to be well, I don't know. They're usually physical attackers, so with the leftovers, I don't know if I'm going to be able to knock out the Zapdos. So he goes for the Earthquake, and I'm not exactly... I'm like, I don't think it's going to knock me out, and it doesn't. I hang on with 14, and he goes for the Volt Switch, but into the Rotom. So here, it took him a long time to decide what Pokemon he was going to send in. So I was like, he's probably got 2 Pokemon that are weak to Fire then. So when he does send in the Sceptile, I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fine with me. So I get the Flamethrower off. It's going to bring it down to its Sash. I figured, I was like, it's probably going to be Sash then, since if you're going to send it in like that. And I get the Will-O-Wisp off into the Electivire, which is fantastic. And now this thing's pretty much rendered useless. So we're in good position right here. I'm okay with... I want my Magmortar to go down. I do not want my Rotom to go down just yet, since it's still going to be able to get some decent damage off. So we do see the Leaf Blade, and I was like, oh, so Sceptile is a physical attacker too. I think he'd like to take a Will-O-Wisp to the face as well. So Magmortar does go down, but he's done some fantastic damage to my opponent's team. So I bring in Machamp, since he's going to be a little bit on the bulkier side, be able to tank some hits. And he withdraws Sceptile, which I found interesting. I was like, okay. And he goes into Zapdos of all Pokemon. I was like, well, if I go for Thunderbolt, and he's not even hidden ability static, so you guys are going to see that doesn't do very much. because of the burn. Thunderbolt's going to connect with the Zapdos. It's not going to be enough, but one more will take it out, and I get the Dynamic Punch off onto Electivire, which is going to be enough to pick up the knockout. So we're already up. Well, is that 2 Pokemon down or just 1 down for my opponent? I know he's got the Zapdos and he's got the Sceptile in the back. So he does have 1 more. He sends out the Arcanine, reveals what his last one is, and he's going to get the Intimidate off on Machamp, which is okay, because to me, Dynamic Punch is more just for the confusion than it is for the damage, because if I wanted damage, I might go Close Combat or Low Kick. And here my opponent Volt switches with the Zapdos, so here I'm like, he might not even have Thunderbolt. That might just be like his stab move. So he brings back in the Sceptile. I'm like, okay, so like the Volt switch didn't make sense unless if he just wanted to sack it off. And here he goes for the Will-O-Wisp, and I could see my opponent being like, yeah, got that Machamp burned. But nope, I got the Lumberry. So I get a Thunderbolt off, so Sceptile just immediately goes down. Didn't even like come back to be able to do anything. And Machamp is going to be able to get a nice Stone Edge off onto this Arcanine. And I was like, whoa, that did a lot. But we do see with the crit, I'm like, wow, this thing must be really defensive then. I am at -1, but with the crit, that means I surpassed that multiplier. So he goes for another Volt Switch. So here, that's why in the end, I'm like, he probably doesn't even have Thunderbolt. That's probably just his stab move of choice. And here he goes for the Morning Sun. So I say, okay, well, that's fine. You're not really like here. I do go for the Arcanine, but with that, we get the Lucky Paralysis, which isn't going to make too much of a difference. But I do decide to target down the Zapdos since I didn't really know what it had, and I just wanted to take out one of his Pokemon. So because in the back I have Mamoswine, which would have been able to get off the Earthquake, but my opponent forfeits right there. So that's not going to be another win. This team's really put in some work. I love this Machamp. Just absolutely love him. So he's put in some fantastic work. We're going to go to the next battle. And this time, again, Machamp's going to put in some work. He's got Garchomp, Weavile, Spiritomb, Milotic, Togekiss, and Staraptor. So he's got lots of weaknesses to Ice, and Fighting is going to get 4 times effective on Weavile, 6 with Stab if it's from Machamp. So the only problem here is the Spiritomb, since Machamp can't hit it with Dynamic Punch, and I don't really have it only has 1 weakness, which is Fairy, which I do not have on this team. So that's going to be the only problem. Only Pokemon that's really going to give me a problem here. So I remember thinking that in the team preview. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. And I start off with my Machamp and Rotom, and my opponent opts to start out with Garchomp and Staraptor. So here I say this is a nice lead for me. So he just goes for the straight up Dragon Claw and a Rotom, which does a lot, and he goes for the Brave Bird. So I say, okay, this is gonna be a knockout on Staraptor, and I'm gonna burn the Garchomp. No, excuse me, it's gonna be a knockout on Garchomp, and I'm gonna burn the Staraptor. And so I was actually surprised that he doubled up onto Rotom, because if I protected Rotom, this game probably would have ended. So I get the Ice Punch off on the Garchomp. Take a little bit of recoil, but that was a really, really risky and gutsy play by my opponent. It is going to pay off for him, but still, he's going to bring in the Weavile now, and I decided to bring in Metagross to resist the Brave Bird coming from him. And so we're going to see. I protect, expecting a knockoff, but he actually goes for the Fake Out, and then he goes for the Brave Bird and the Machamp. I'm like, well, this is fantastic. Now I'm going to pick up another knockout after I survive. And after I see how much damage, I'm like, was that a crit? No? Oh, I was like, oh, he's probably Focus Banded then. So I realized that too late to preserve my Machamp, which was going to help me out a lot. These are the only 2 Pokemon I have left, and they're 2 good Pokemon anyways. But he's going to get the knockoff, which is going to do... I was actually surprised at how much damage that did. So he's going to get another Brave Bird off. But here I was like, okay, well, I'm taking down the Staraptor now. He's probably going to go for the Mamoswine, but I'm sashed. So I'm going to be able to survive. He's almost dead anyways, but I get the Meteor Mash off into the Weavile. I'm expecting it to be sashed, and it is. So I'm not too surprised not being able to take it out. But I do get the attack boost, which can be nice depending on what his last Pokemon is. And I do get the Rock Slide off. It does connect with both, so we do pick up the Devil Knockout. And so now we got a 2v1, but my opponent has one healthy Pokemon. Both my Pokemon are in the red. So a little complicated. And we see his last Pokemon, Spiritomb. I'm like, of course it is. It couldn't be something I had super effective stab for. And we see it has Sucker Punch. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I thought I'd be able to outspeed this thing, get 2 attacks off, and then outspeed it next turn and knock it out. But nope. And here I was like, can I make a substitute? I was thinking before this turn, I was like, I might be able to get a substitute off because I'd probably outspeed this thing. But if I had enough HP for a substitute, I would have won. So I did pay attention this time. I did see that I could not set up a substitute, so I did not do it. And that's going to be our first loss. And honestly, I'm not too upset with that. I guess I should be a little upset. I didn't know my opponent would have. That's what I've been seeing. I was seeing a lot of Staraptors and Swellows with Choice Scarf or Choice Band. I wish I would have seen that sooner, because then I would have sent in Mamoswine instead of set him a champ to take care of it. So unfortunate. My opponent still had a good team. That Sucker Punch, really, if he didn't have Sucker Punch, I probably would have won. If I had enough HP to set up a substitute, I also would have won. So really unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys have been enjoying this. I've really been enjoying it. But that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.